on July 26, 2023.
Have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes.
Congress officially announced that we are not alone in the universe.
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to.
We are about to unveil something huge. Everything we thought we knew about us, the world, our past, is about to get utterly decimated. Congress officially announced the existence of aliens.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
And it turns out,
I guess human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
The government has known about it for years.
Do you think there's life on other planets?
Well, definitely not.
Not?
Not.
Well, what leads you to say that? Scientific investigation or...?
The Bible never mentions anything like aliens, so we Christians are inclined to believe that there is just no such thing as life outside of Earth. But the only problem with this kind of thinking is that you're completely forgetting about angels. We Christians believe in these divine beings of light with far superior knowledge and technology. So in some capacity, I'd say we do actually believe in extraterrestrials.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
It's just that we don't think they're alien to this world. You see, for thousands of years, humanity has been obsessed with these beings of light. We know them to be angels, but through hundreds of cultures, they've gone by many, many different names. Now, there are beings with vehicles of light coming down to Earth today. And on July 26, 2023, we've decided to call them aliens. The first ever photo of a UFO was taken in 1870 in New Hampshire. It was this cigar-shaped object just floating in the sky, and when people saw this photo, it absolutely blew their minds. You see, in the 1800s, there was this great rise of science fiction literature. Guys like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells would end up popularizing this idea of alien civilizations and interplanetary travel. So when a person saw a photo like this in 1870, having read a Jules Verne book, I bet you the first thing they think about is aliens. The thing is, as human understanding developed over time, early astronomers like Giordano Bruno would start theorizing about life on other planets. Modern science paired with science fiction would create this new context for these beings of light. You see, these theories would completely capture the public's imagination. Ultimately, it led us to believe that these beings were our planetary neighbors. You know, the classic alien.
I think UFOs are associated with fallen angels and fallen angel technology. You could talk about the Ezekiel, you know, the wheels within wheels in the book of Ezekiel.
You know, it's quite funny because one of the first ever UFOs recorded are literally in Ezekiel, the Bible. In this book, Ezekiel is trying to explain what he is seeing, and what he is seeing is unidentified flying objects. You see, one day, this huge storm forms out of nowhere, and as Ezekiel looks into the distance, he notices this light emanating from the clouds. These four beings would then emerge out of this storm with what looked like wheels touching the ground besides them. The wheels were covered in eyes, and everywhere these beings went, the wheels would follow. You see, this spectacle was God's glory manifest, and Ezekiel knew this because humans could have never done anything like that at the time. Today, this is viewed as one of the earliest UFO documentations ever, but 2,500 years ago, they knew exactly what these were.
These beings are not extraterrestrial. They don't sit in a like metal spaceship and fly for, you know, thousands of light years just sitting there. They're actually like extra dimensional.
Now, of course, people of that era didn't have an understanding of modern technology. They didn't understand aircrafts or space travel. So when faced with an extraordinary event like this, he would use words like sapphires and thrones to describe what he is seeing. I mean, how else would a person who lived 2,000 years ago describe a UFO? Even in the book of Elijah, we read about this chariot of fire which appears out of nowhere and carries Elijah up to heaven. It explains how this chariot had these horses of fire. You see, the language this author uses is most likely the language he would have used in his daily life. He was thinking in terms of chariots and horses of fire. But I truly speculate that what Elijah thought were fiery horses could have potentially been some kind of propellant for this chariot. And this chariot could have been some kind of vehicle which was propelled by this fiery source.
2, 1.
I mean, this chariot, by today's standards, would just be a simple rocket. It is very, very important to note that a UFO and this chariot of fire do the exact same thing.
LA-based investigative filmmaker Jeremy Corbell recently released this video taken by the Navy, showing what he describes as pyramid-shaped UFOs.
They're usually shrouded in this brilliant light.
The Pentagon has since confirmed that the video is authentic.
And although these main UFO characteristics match our biblical thrones and chariots, there is still something that doesn't add up. See, one of the most famous UFO sightings was in 1947 by this pilot named Kenneth Arnold. As he was flying one day, he notices these 9 crescent-shaped objects hovering at insane speeds. He quickly realizes these were non-human crafts, and from that day he would coin the term flying saucer. But this right here is what doesn't really add up. You see, the Bible mentions all kinds of angels and thrones, but it never once mentions anything crescent or saucer-shaped like we see today. Well, you have to remember that there are 2 groups of angels. On one end, we have our heavenly angels, like the ones Ezekiel and Elijah would have seen. But on the other hand, we have our fallen angels, the ones who rebelled against God. See, these fallen angels were in heaven once upon a time. These guys had known the very details that took place in heaven. So these fallen angels were already aware of these vehicles. These guys probably even operated them a very long time ago. But this was before they got cast out. You see, I suspect Satan now had to resort to another way of travel. After getting locked out of heaven, these Ophanim, these wheels within wheels, would no longer be accessible to him. So my theory is simply that he created an alternative. A vehicle that can travel at lightning speeds, that can materialize in and out of physical reality, a type of spaceship that we now call UFOs. At this point, it is all speculation. I do not have all the answers, but what I can leave you with is rather a question. If you were the devil, and you wanted to bring us all down to hell, what would you do? What would you say?
And I had access and was permitted to view and look at the operation of this main level with the gravity amplifiers. So it's the reactor here, powering the gravity amplifiers. Output goes into the gravity emitters at the bottom. The resulting gravity can be pretty much put anywhere you want to.
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured.
By UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
So there has been activity by alien, non-human technology that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics.